Hello, my name is Trajan and I want to show you the machine I've been building.
The next step is to visit Google Images. I didn't even notice this button until recently, but if you click here, you can search using a picture instead of typing words. My studio does this step in the background, but this test page I wrote demonstrates the concept. It's just an automated browser you'll see flash up briefly that visits Google, uploads the photo, and searches the page of results for the number of times a word like boot is used. I found Google to be remarkably good at object identification, but its pattern recognition is arguably even better. I used to have a long list of styles and patterns my employee had to memorise and recognise, but now I just send a close-up of the fabric shot. Gone are the days when my employee would fill this in manually.
Now we just place this anywhere. Instant size measurements. I've placed the camera directly above the table at a fixed known distance. I just count the number of pixels along the waist to convert the item to a modern standard size. Hip size, chest size, length, heel height even. It's all just counting pixels, much quicker than using a tape measure, which is how we did it before. I've also set up a second camera here to get a close-up shot of the label, which comes in very handy for later. Right now, we sell a lot of women's clothing on eBay. So every day I redirect anyone who asks for a discount to my website where they can work for that discount, double checking the image matching that Google does. And there are plenty of tasks that work well remotely, like filling in the brand or the materials from the label shot that was taken earlier. My customers are more than happy to spend 20 minutes tagging the photos that come out of my studio for a small discount, without me having the need to train or pay an employee to recognise the difference between an A-line skirt or a kick-pleated skirt. Here is an example of what my listing page on eBay looks like. None of my photos are post-processed, and these product details are all auto-generated. This is just what comes straight out of my machine, straight onto eBay. I have completely removed the need for a photographer and his assistant, a listing team to do the titles and descriptions, and it's instantly listed for sale on eBay across 19 international marketplaces. I employ one worker, and in an 8-hour shift, she can shoot and list about 500 unique items per day. For too long, photographers have had a stranglehold on the e-commerce business. Even at the very lowest end of the market, for a front, side and back shot, they're charging £10 per item. Anyway, I read a lot of photography blogs and tutorials when I was trying to learn their trade and automate it, and I couldn't help but laugh at the photographer who boasted online that if he was doing more than 2 products an afternoon, he was charging too little. I'd better give you a brief tour so you can see all of our current capabilities. So after stock is listed, it gets scanned into a box and that's it. When an order comes, it shows up on the tablet and you take it to dispatch. Scan the bag again to print the label, wrap it and wait for the postman to come and collect it every day. I don't like reinventing the wheel, but I wrote this all from scratch because I couldn't find any inventory management software that was this simple. My last project was designing software for the elderly in the charity shop sector, so I have high standards of design simplicity that I couldn't find off the shelf.
This is the back of the warehouse. I only managed to get such a big place because it was so run down that I had 3 months free rent to fix the roofing, electrics, plumbing, everything. It was a disaster in there. Fortunately, I love DIY, and it turns out that 3 months was plenty of time to get the place fixed up and also break even with the clothing operation before the first rent payment was due. Things were going so well, in fact, that 6 months in we got a new warehouse. I've got a new workshop now, which is long overdue. I've been squeezed out next door, but now I've got the space to build some new ideas. This warehouse came with a private yard, so I'm clearing a space for a few shipping containers. That's my new office, but I can't commit to permanent walls when I've got a shipping container office waiting to be built outside. But most importantly, this is the corner where I'm building my next machine.
Forget that studio you saw before. That's just a Mark I prototype I built the first weekend I got here. It's just a computer power supply connected to a drill which drives a bicycle chain around a TV stand I pulled out of a skip. And on top of that moving platform I sit the mannequin, and I've added 4 switches around the base to mark the positions for when a photo should be taken, and that's it. Though that mannequin base has served me well. It's been turning day and night for 8 months in production use without any problems. But I'm just finished with the whole concept of spinning mannequins. I only did that because I could only afford 1 camera, so I had to spin the mannequin in front of it. The new studio I'm building will have 4 cameras placed around it, and instead of 1 mannequin, it will be a whole conveyor belt of mannequins that rotate through my studio. That way I can have someone just stand in one spot and continuously dress and undress the mannequin that appears before them. Using this new system, I'm aiming for 1,000 plus unique items per day, per employee, for dressing, shooting and listing a product on eBay or any other platform. I'm selling in the vintage clothing categories because that's just what my sister was interested in when we started this. It's kind of absurd, but our current business model is to order shipping containers of random vintage clothing rags from America at £1 each. We photograph, size and list them online in seconds and sell them back to the Americans for about £30 each. But there must be a better way of leveraging my machine. Vintage clothing is such a niche category on eBay. I should be selling in the much more popular modern clothing categories. And why stick to clothing? I should be doing product shots for every category on eBay. And why stick to eBay? With my machines, I should be working with Tesco's or anyone else who's got tens of thousands of unique products that need putting online. My warehouses are in Buckinghamshire, so almost everywhere else in the world is cheaper. Plus, I have no ties here anyway. I came to the realisation recently that for what I pay right now in rents and business rates, I could get a much bigger plot of concrete, like a haulage yard, for a fraction of the price. And with the money left over, I could buy myself 2 40-foot shipping containers each month instead of seeing that money disappear into a black hole. We got lucky that there was a warehouse next door for us to expand into at just the right time, but it won't be long before we grow out of that place as well. I just can't get out of my head the idea of a completely automated, completely scalable warehouse built from shipping containers stacked high. A warehouse that I can shape to my ideas and something that I can spawn into any country I need. So that's my next project, in America. I can fill it with vintage clothing and I'll be making money from day one, but what's a better idea? Until 8 months ago, I'd never done photography before in my life, and I had no experience of eBay as a seller. Now we use the eBay API, but when I first started this, we were using the listing tool on the eBay website to upload our stock. That spinning mannequin base got our photography times down to mere seconds almost immediately. So it got to the stage where my employee would spend more time holding up a dress and working out what style it was than actually taking the photos themselves, which used to take 50% of the total listing time before. In order to sell an item of clothing on eBay, you have to fill in the category, the style, the material, the colour, the size, etc. So I've taken these steps and one by one I've replaced them with an automated solution, and 8 months later I'm pretty much done. I mean, the problem with my last and only company, which failed incidentally, was that we had too many engineers and programmers and designers and not enough actual sellable software before the money ran out. I'm sure you've seen this 1,000 times before. So this time I've done a solo mission and, well, I didn't have much choice. I've had to start from zero, but I still don't have a team of engineers yet. But while I miss the brainstorming and the camaraderie, I don't miss the complication and the waiting months to get a usable bit of software out of someone. Take that object identification step to tell the difference between a pair of high heels or a pair of boots. Ask an engineer to solve that problem and I'm sure they'll do a great job training up a neural network using the large collection of images I've got. Thing is, to piggyback onto Google took me 30 minutes and I'd moved on to the next bottleneck already. I work to a relentless schedule because if you put your mind to it, you're going to have a good idea every week. So now I have a strict 1-week time limit for getting an idea into production. But mostly I work to a daily cycle because if you can program and you're good with your hands, there really isn't much you can't solve in one day with the right idea. I've been doubling our output every month for the past 8 months without having to hire any new employees. And again this month I'm on track to meet that target with the new Mark II studio I'm building. I don't want to lose any of this momentum and I'm ready for the next stage, which is why I find myself in this rather unfamiliar position of being in front of the lens.